Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Scaling Deep podcast. I am your host, Lisa Princik. I am a membership coach, an expert, and a deep thinker. And today's episode, I want to bring up a point that I think has been very important to me on the journey with the hopes it'll help you figure some things out. There's one thing that gets often really lost in this business strategy online growth world, and that's purpose. Now, that may be not a big deal to you if you don't feel like you are someone who's driven by it. But if you are, then I want you to listen up because it could help you. It could help you get past some of your growth blocks and help make the path a lot more straight for you. So I am someone who is very purpose driven, who has found myself in a business that is not as purpose driven as the work that I was doing in my earlier career in corporate social responsibility and sustainability, where I worked with a lot of mission-based businesses, like people who were running their business in order to have a social impact in their communities and in the world, which was very purpose driven. And even though I loved it, I was really drawn to the service of helping business owners just thrive and survive, because it is a tough world to be a small business. And I also found with mission-based businesses, they're very aligned with the nonprofit world. So I found my way into the for-profit online world where I could do the kinds of things that I am best suited to do, which is strategic planning, business model development, offers development, making them irresistible, positioning, sales. I love sales. I love branding. I love doing all that kind of stuff. So that was easier to do in the world that I'm in right now. Okay. So that's the backstory to how I'm here. And while I'm really satisfied with what I do, it's so much fun. Like my work really does suit my personality. So I struggle, like a lot of people, to get known and have more people find out about me, that I even exist, and learn to get to know me and trust me to know that I can help them. Recently, I've been getting so much positive feedback from everyone I'm working with, like just so much gratitude and happiness that they've found me. And that's given me a lot of confidence in what I do. And imposter syndrome did really hold me back for like many, many years, but that's okay. I'm here now. I know that what I have is good and real and important and valuable. But I still have been struggling to get out there and in a bigger way that isn't too financially risky and that isn't draining. So the story I've been telling myself over the last year is that I've got to get back on the socials. I've got to get out everywhere to enhance the know, like, and trust factor for people who hear about me in, say, one place, then they see me somewhere else, and then they hear it somewhere else, and just get to know me a little bit better and understand like that I'm the same person. Because it takes like tens and tens of times for people to actually be like, oh, you're that person who talks on this, instead of people thinking, oh, this is a new person, and then every couple months. And that really does matter. However, that strategy of being out on the socials is something that I have kept coming back to and kept resisting, like consistently going, okay, I can do this. It's not that difficult, but just not doing it. And recently I came to realize that no matter how easy it is to do, it just doesn't feel right. It just does not feel like me, and I'm just not compelled to do it. So instead of resisting it, in the last few weeks, I have just started to reconnect to my authentic self, who I am and what I care about. And that has given me a lot of fuel and perhaps connection to myself and even others to recognize what I'm truly here for. I put that in quotes because I'm here for a bunch of different things, and how I can do it in a way that will actually allow me to grow more naturally. And it's probably not going to be getting on the socials because, again, it's easy for me to show up and do things on the fly. I mean, I do all of my podcasts on the fly. I do a lot of my trainings on the fly. Like a lot of things I can do well or in the moment, don't require too much prep, and winging it tends to be a strategy that I enjoy. So you think I'd like to get on the reels and talk candidly about things, and I probably will someday, but for now, it just doesn't feel right. And what it comes down to is that it's an energetic trade-off for the other things I could be doing, which is to go much more in depth with longer form content in front of bigger audiences and just have deeper conversations, because that's what really lights me up. And it's taken me a while to really just come to that conclusion and not only own it, but allow myself just to be in that space with zero pressure to get out of that space and then start getting into other spaces. Because I just don't think in terms of short things. I don't even like consuming short things. I love long series that go on and have tons of character development. I love sinking into a topic for like months and months and months before I move on to the new one. So I am someone who does like to go in depth, and that's just how I'm going to be showing up my best and doing my best work. So I'm playing in that space and going to stay in it, because truthfully, I am terrible at throwing spaghetti at the wall. I don't even like doing it. And when I have somebody who's in my world who loves throwing new ideas at me all the time, I'm always like, whoa, slow down. Can you just not tell me about this? If I don't need to be working on it right now or thinking about it, I just don't have the ability to take that in. And it's distracting me from doing the things that I really want to dive into, learn more about, and commit to and implement, because finishing things is also really important to me. And that's part of a deep strategy. So how do you grow like this? When you want to reach more and more people, how do you do it deep, not broad? Like what are those tools? I want to talk about it now, because that's the thing I've started to clue in on in the last few weeks, is that I am going to have to be more bold rather than be broad. And I'm still going to have to do the things, because I'm still sitting on a gold mine of information and experiences and skills that I've built up for like decades. And I still need to get in front of more people to make the whole system work easily. More profit, more revenue, more return for my investment of time and energy. I've got, all these great tools, courses, trainings, methodologies that get people places, and they're already created, so more people need to see them. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of the how, so that if you're in this boat and you're finding it difficult to be everywhere all the time, it doesn't feel like you, and you're still trying to figure out how do you actually get some return from it, then I'm going to share with you a different way. So first of all, speaking more on more important topics like I am today with you, that's what I want to do more of. I want to talk a little bit more about purpose. I want to talk a bit more about mindset and psychology and what makes us tick. How do we personally align with our values to what we do, and try to weave that back into what we do, so that we are able to talk about what matters and also do something that you could be doing if you had different values. Like you can run a membership business that either teaches people to run memberships, or even run your own membership with different values than the next person who would be doing the same thing. But one of the things that I think is going to be easier is when we bring our values into our what, and into our how, we will enjoy it much more because it's so much more natural, because this is the stuff we're thinking about. This is the way we think about it. This is our opinions, and that stuff is fun. So that's one way I'm going to be doing it. I'm also going to be recognizing that it is really just what makes my brand unique. And I am going to share that more publicly. I'm going to share more of my values. I'm going to share more of myself and really just show up myself. Like, I'm not going to fluff things up a little bit or make them look more sparkly. I'm going to be truthful. I'll be honest. I'll be direct, because that is my style. And I've mostly, I think, like that, but now I'm just giving myself permission to be a little bit more like that and think about the fact that that's just going to be what works ultimately for my connection to the right people. I've also thought a little bit more about, how do I serve, in the meantime, fewer people more deeply? And that is actually part of my plan already. I just love how it's come together with this new realization of how I work best more deeply, because I am launching a mastermind next week that you are going to want to hear about if you really, really want to accelerate your growth and find your own personal business strategy with loads of private support from me. Because that is something that I do so well, is get to know people really well, their personality, and learn to support them in the way that I know will be the best support for them and where they're at, what they're doing, and how they respond to different ways of doing things. So that is something that'll be huge for me, is just working with a lot more people one-on-one in a scalable model, but increasing those relationships, because I love relationships. I love having close relationships with people. I could have quite a few relationships with quite a few different people, but I want them to be close. I want them to grow. Just like I like watching good character development in my favorite shows, I want to have that as a part of my personal relationship with people as well. And as long as I'm doing that, I know that I'm building my brand around this approach, and people will start to see it through testimonials, through the way I'm describing what I do and the way I'm putting it out there in front of people and offering them a chance to join. So while that's my general approach, I want to share with you some of the details, like the tactics. So what does this actually look like? Well, for one, I'm doing more speaking in front of curated audiences. So like really ideal audiences who are aligned to what I'm speaking on. I'll share a couple examples. For example, next week, I'm speaking in front of the Heartbeat community, just online with a training. Heartbeat is my community membership platform. And I just reached out to them to say, hey, can I do a talk on this evergreen enrollment system that I have? And that's a really well curated audience of membership business owners. So it's ideal. And of course, they are putting it out to their network. I'm also not only going to be in Lizzie Goddard's Christmas bundle at the end of the year as a participant, but I'm sponsoring it. So I'm going to get even more exposure in front of an audience that I've already tested, because I was in her bundle last year and know that it's a really good fit for me. And that is a strategic opportunity. That means that I put effort into creating a really good offer that I put in the bundle, and that is deeper, rather than me having to like hustle on a daily basis to get known. I am like participating in something that a lot of the work is going to be done, and across a huge audience of people also promoting it. So that is a second example of like how I am doing less, just doing it more like focused. And it's also leading to broad, but that's really both collaboration experiences. I'm also in a summit in 2 weeks, which is a one-day summit on collabs. And there's only about 4 to 6 main speakers, and I'm one of them. And when they invited me, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do another summit. And then I saw the topic, which is adding fuel to your membership with guest experts. I'm like, this is different. This is interesting. This is fun. And I think it really stands out. So those are opportunities that I'm saying yes to. And At this point, I wouldn't be able to prep for those properly, create good content, make sure I write up my marketing kind of clips on it really well if I was busy doing the socials every day. And it's true, we can't do it all. So I either have to go broad first and then deep, or I can do deep and then add broad when it feels more easy, when I'm ready and when I have more support. So that will come. But when we try to do both, it really is difficult because we just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And then something blows up, or energetically, we just don't show up properly. And we're not even impressing or making a good connection with people one by one or one to many, because it's just, we're not there. We're just a shell. So knowing which way you're starting from will give you that path, rather than just being like shitting on yourself for this and then shitting on yourself for not doing that. And you don't have anything going super well. So this is why I'm sharing this strategy, because you might actually be the opposite and want to be, I'm going to go broad and then start going deep. And that, when it's easier, and it's totally fine. But one way or the other will be easier than trying to do everything, because it's just going to not come across very authentic. And then I'm also hosting a challenge in the next few weeks, which is my own event. I'm the one who's the host. And so therefore it profiles me, what I love to teach, and something I'll be very proud of, the content and the way I've done it. So no matter how big I can get with it or how small, I'll really be excited to be putting out a quality product. It's actually called a boot camp, and it'll be a really good experience for whoever does show up, and that knowing that I can build upon that later when I have more bandwidth to get out to a bigger audience and broader and wider. So those are some examples of what I'm doing from a tactical perspective to grow my brand, grow my reach and visibility in a way that feels completely authentic to me. I'm doing things that corporate Lisa would be very proud of, which is doing quality work instead of doing the promotional work all the time or the song and dance. Because if I was to look back and go in the future and be like, what was I most excited about? And proud of how I did it. It would be the trainings that I put out there and the way I help people get results, not the fact that I showed up on bite-sized clips. Even if they were clever and got people to the good trainings, that wouldn't be the part I would be very proud of. So that's the me that I am trying to impress right now and being in alignment with right now. And then again, when all that foundation is built and I've got not much else to do, and I've hired the right team to do and help me with the next step of just like doing all those fun, light things, it'll be so much easier because I'll be ready for it, confident, willing to play, willing to waste a little bit of time and energy on things that go nowhere. Off into the ether, which is something that I'm not very good at, because being somebody who's focused on sustainability, I like things to be reused, recycled, reduced, all that good stuff, simplicity, which is harder to do in that lighter, out there in the world of millions and billions of content pieces strategy. But that will come, and that will be easier when all the other stuff is dialed. So if you are finding this in alignment with how you want to do things, or just in general helpful, and you want to talk more, I'm going to totally encourage you to reach out to me at lisa@scalingdeep.com, and we can talk about how I could potentially help you come up with your own personalized strategy for growth based on what you do and what you really want to do and how you want to show up, because that is going to make a big difference for you to get a result, to start seeing traction, to start feeling like really good and really fulfilled. And that is the first step for everything. So thanks for being here with me today. If you liked the episode, please do not forget to subscribe so that you can listen to each one as they come out. And I would love it for you to leave a rating or review on your favorite app. Until next time, bye for now.